Grace and peace. Welcome to Let's Talk Church. Today I want to share my experience as a seer. We find many seers in the Bible. We find Gad the seer. We find Joseph, who was a seer. Daniel, who was a seer. There are many seer prophets in the Bible. But my experience as a seer may not necessarily be the same experience that you have had as a seer prophet. I find that a lot of us, we like to put the prophetic in a box where everybody has to be doing the same thing in order to be a prophet. When being a prophet in the Bible, there was no such thing as, and there is no such thing as someone having the exact same identity, even though you may have the exact same calling. As a seer prophet, I have seen angels, I have seen demons, I have seen glimpses of flashes of light. I have been to places of, going to heaven and seeing the surroundings of a whole new, different world, I have been to other places with God where He took me. We spoke, had conversation, what He was showing me, and things of that nature. I dream. I have visions, things of that nature. But the prophetic is not just limited to my experience and the things that I have seen. Some of you see all types of things that you can't even explain. Some of you know things that that only God has given you, and the same with me. The things that I know that it's God's wisdom. I know that it's word of knowledge. I know that it's words of wisdom. But everybody is not going to function the same. There are some people who have trances that go into other states of, where God is taking them and what God is showing them. But they may not dream. They may not see pictures playing before their eyes. And we get caught up in, if you don't do this. But a seer prophet is receiving revelation from God that has to do with future things that are to come. The timing, the season. How do we shift this thing from here to where God has ordained for it to be, or the best place for this business, this church, this organization to be for this time? God is moving and shifting and changing some things, and people are stuck and not knowing how to move. And what God does in the seer prophet that's already in place is show them how to get out of. They are the answer to the problem. They are problem solvers and solutionists. And if you're a watchman, before an attack, before a shutdown, before anything takes place that is out of the plan and will of God, you are there to intercede, to stand in the gap, because you saw it before it happened as a seer prophet. Now, there are people who dream. There are people who have visions. There are people who see, but are not necessarily seer prophets. The seer prophet is going to see what God is showing the seer prophet, and the seer prophet is going to be obedient and do what God is telling the seer prophet to do, and not just in church, in business, in organizations. Wherever the seer prophet is, they are there for a reason, because it is something that God is at work in through the seer prophet. So, yes, we see good and evil. We have discerning, a strong discerning of spirits, gifts of the Spirit. But it does not make us a prophet unless we are receiving, hearing, connecting in relationship and partnership with God, who has called us to the office. to be a seer prophet who speaks on his behalf, who goes to the leaders, who goes before kings, who stands in the position of speaking to the nations and things of that nature. We gotta take this seer prophet out of the box, and you gotta check this box and that box. The seer prophet, the box that you must check is, I'm getting revelation from God. And in this revelation that I am getting from God, there is an assignment attached to what God has given me to do, what He is showing me that I need to do. If you're just seeing and you're just hearing and you're just, getting dreams, and I don't say just lightly, because it's a gift, and God is still using, us, whether we are seer prophets or we have the gift of seeing. So my experience is, I don't see everything. I don't go into trances and things of that nature, but I don't want you to be limited and think that you have to check every box that people may put on you in order to say that, I'm a prophet, because now I'm a wonder. I'm able to do all of these things, when you're stressing yourself out and trying to be something that God has not gifted or called or told you that this is the way I'm going to use you. He has not wired you or want to use you in that way. There are some seers who are hearers as well. And then people will try to put the mandate on you and say, oh, you must be a hearer as well. Of course, we all should hear and know God's voice and be in relationship with God. But I mean as receiving revelation from God, as the hearers, as the Nabi prophet, when they bubble up. A seer is not going to bubble up unless that thing is in them. That call, that gifting, that anointing, that fire, that power, that relationship with God, that revelation will flow through them in the way that God created and ordained them to. It's not going to happen necessarily for the seer prophet. So my point is, we have to stop thinking that, we have to fulfill man's checklist instead of just checking with God and trusting God and obeying God. If you called me to this office, you already equipped me to do this thing. I'm not going to worry about what whoever say, prophet, I'm the one on the top, and what I say is everything says. You going to check with God. God, you've been doing this in me. This is what you called me to do. This is what you equipped me to do. This is who you told me to go to. I know my function. I know who I am. So stop getting caught up in the bells and whistles of trying to be a part of everybody else's mandate, and just follow God's. This is Let's Talk Church. Follow me. If you are not following me, I would appreciate that. Hit that little bell so that you'll know when I'm live. And I look forward to growing with you. Have a blessed and prosperous day.